Gibbs stayed on the sidelines for now. Brant showed up early and the offensive line just started answering questions nobody thought they could answer this fast. 60 minutes, 3 gray mains, 0 hot takes, training camp week 2, forward down the field.
Jahmyr to the fight, Jahmyr to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
Hand off Berry, skirts to the left side, breaks a tackle, and he will take it in, touchdown!
Touchdown Detroit Lions! That's what I'm talking about! It is caught! Touchdown Detroit Lions! Amon-Ra St. Brown! Oh baby, what a play that time! Aiden Hutchinson read that and blew it up! Big time stand by that defense!
All right, Lions Gray Mains family, welcome into the show, our live show, which starts each and every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're here, jump in the chat. Let us know you're here. We already have our boy Frank that's in the house. Frank, you got a lot of acronyms and a lot of words, some of them bad we can't say live, but we appreciate you joining first thing. You are first. And Wanda Rich, I know, is gonna be chiming in at every time. Superfan Wanda Rich, we appreciate you in advance. But if you're joining us on any of the tubes tonight, we got a new tube we crammed this show into because we're trying to build something over on another platform. Because why not? But obviously, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. X, we've got folks over there. Chime in and let us know where you're from. And certainly, if you got any questions or anything you want to talk about tonight, Lions related, we're all ears. And we are also streaming live on Substack. So we're going to be tucking some content over there, and hope to get some things going, some extra things for you, our fans, our listeners, and our viewers. Mr. Dab 313. Howdy, y'all. Howdy, Mr. Dab. Howdy. We appreciate you joining. On my screen, in your earballs, the two folks joining me, my co-pilots tonight from the great state of Ohio. We call him DK. You can call him Dan Keener. Dan, how are we doing tonight? First week of camp. Are we tired? We got you got your knee wrapped. How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm overwhelmed. The amount of information and the amount of fast and furious transactions and activity that's going on. It's been awesome.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing. It's not a senior moment, and I know we all qualify for that. It is just phenomenal, the amount of data and news that are just coming in like literally every hour. And we got our guy in the background keeping an eye out, because I think we're all expecting some good news about a certain guy within the next 12 hours. So
yep, and he made our thumbnail tonight, and that is Jahmyr Gibbs, and we'll be talking a lot about that and sort of breaking down maybe the contract implications with Bijan Robinson getting signed in Atlanta, and hopefully that being a domino effect to getting Jahmyr in as quickly as possible. I'm going to introduce the other member tonight on the show. We call him DBC. He is the Chief Intelligence Officer of Lions Optimism, Dr. Brent Kreider. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It's great to be here. Nothing like the smell of grass.
Is this the napalm in the morning thing?
You guys remember that, right? Playing football growing up, that smell is forever etched in your brain.
Yeah.
I'm just ecstatic. We've got a football game on Thursday night, the Hall of Fame game. The Lions are about a month away from starting the season, just over a month. And I'm stoked, ready to roll. Lot to talk about tonight.
Awesome. And we have a super chat from Mr. Dab313. We appreciate you bringing the super chat. And he says, he or she, it's got to be a he, right? It's Mr. Dab. Go Lions. Hoorah, Air Force, Brent. And you got the flex emoji. Mr. Dab, we appreciate you, certainly, for joining us tonight. But if you've got anything you want to know about, we have some guys that all they do is dig into this Lions information. All they do, all day. Well, no, they do more than just that. But boy, it seems like it. I don't know how you guys do that. Oh, look at this, Mr. Dab. You got. This is the. I do all the production here, but that production right there from Dan Keener. And for folks who are just listening on our audio podcast, he's holding up a thank you with the Lions Gray Manes logo on it. That's outstanding. Marcus Newsom has joined. Being able to put White on the field with Campbell in our nickel packages makes me feel more confident in our run D. Yeah, we're going to get into the Devin White stuff as well. Great call on that, Marcus. We're absolutely going to be talking about that. In fact, that'll be a part of the next segment, and the segment that always leads off Lions Gray Manes each and every show, and that is Dan Keener and the Rundown.
Thanks, Chris. So starting off, we've all been waiting for it. We didn't even know if it was going to happen. There's been some turnover in the Lions media production department, but they finally dropped the draft edition of Inside the Den, and I highly recommend you watch it.
Yeah,
it is outstanding. The production value there is always great, but the amount of information they shared and tied to each of the picks and how basically they were calling their shot in the third round for basically the rest of the draft.
Yeah,
it was amazing. You can see it out on their YouTube channel. You can link to it through our rundown that's on our page today. But highly recommend you watch it if you haven't. Next up on our list, this is just kind of a cool little thing. Meyer and the Lions have teamed up for a Collector's Series flag. You can get a Meyer. I don't even know if they're still available. These things probably went hot. These are in Detroit area only. I believe it is tied to a charity foundation, the Detroit Lions Foundation. So if you purchase, I think there's a minimal amount, but I think you get this, and then the flag and as well donation goes to the Lions charities, Lions Foundation. So just another cool way to display your Lions pride. So good stuff for Meyer and Detroit Lions for teaming up on that. Recently inducted into the Gray Manes Mount Rushmore.
Mount Silver.
Mr. Kevin Glover.
Mount
Silver Rushmore. Pardon me. My bad. Senior moment number 2. Kevin Glover, one of our favorite all-time offensive linemen. Just outstanding human, outstanding individual, and he is going into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him, and I think he's still working as a director of player personnel for Maryland Terrapins, right?
Yes.
Isn't that where he's at currently? So Kevin, if you're watching, which I know you're not, we love you, man. Congratulations.
Awesome.
So this is where I have the word of the day, which is succinct. We are trying to take this section. There's so much to talk about, making it quick and fast. So I kind of rolled all of the transactions in the last week into this one picture here. So we've added linebacker Troy Reeder, who's a special teams ace. We kind of swapped him out because the Rams had him, and then they signed Grant Stewart from us. So we ended up signing Reeder from them to kind of fill our roster. And then the injuries started happening, and we started churning our roster. So right after that, we cut defensive tackle Jay Tufele. We put Azine and Mahogany on the NFI list. They've both since come off, which is fantastic, and they've both been playing very well from what I've been seeing online and reading. So very happy to see that. And then the roster got pushed back up to 91 when we signed that gentleman on the left, Mr. Devin White. He is a former all-pro linebacker. PFF they just absolutely hate this guy for some reason, but you know what? He is extremely productive linebacker. He's all over the field. He gives us just one more key component to that crew. Even if they're all healthy, he still gives us just another addition, which this is kind of like those last-minute Brad Holmes finds that end up hopefully are being extremely productive.
Yeah, I do like the signing, and we are seeing him, or hearing of him being seen out there at training camp, doing what he can do, and obviously having that veteran presence. Has put up a lot of tackle numbers, and certainly playing for the Raiders. It's do with that what you will. He's now coming to the Lions, and sort of seeing that, and we certainly need the linebacker depth, right? And so I think
Absolutely.
it's off-ball linebacker depth with the Rolder injury. I think this is a great find as well.
Yeah, and he him and Campbell both were in the top 5 in tackles last year, so that's just a good problem to have.
Right.
And then last on this slide here, we've got our good old buddy Gio Manu got put on the NFI injury list the day after training camp opened with some undisclosed injury. I think that's the death knell for this kid. I think he's done.
Yeah.
We'll see what the Lions do with him at cutdown day, but I don't think he's coming back. They might keep him around, see if they can't slide him onto the practice squad or something, but I think he's pretty much done. You don't not disclose an injury to your team and show up and expect to have a job.
And they said the injury was like 12, 14 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
It puts him back,
right.
Middle of the season? I mean, what are we doing, right? I think we know what we got with the guy. And that was,
or don't have.
Yeah, thank you. Right.
Yeah, nice guy, I'm sure, but his time has come.
Yeah, and a couple of other signings that came in. We don't really have a lot to talk about, but a running back was just signed as well. A UFL running back, as well as Blackshear, another running back as well, who played for the Panthers and one other team. I think they're bringing in some depth guys to kind of see, especially Sailors is out there. Sailors is and Pacheco are getting a lot of those reps, but I'm sure they're thinking like, we don't want to give these guys too many reps, and with a preseason game not too far away, it'd be good. And Sione Vake, getting poked in the eye, and we found out this morning a broken nose to boot. It's a little weird, but having Blackshear, who played at Rutgers with Pacheco, is kind of an interesting signing.
He's older
as
than
well.
Pacheco.
Yeah, interesting signing.
Yes. There. And then lastly, on our lead into our show, we just want to give you a quick glance at the front page of Lions, thegraymanes.com. We have been putting up coverage of basically everything every day. We get the press conference, we get the recap. And then anything else that comes in. So they're pretty detailed. If you click on a recap right there, well, that's probably a picture. I'm not sure if it's live. Very good. So we'll put everything in there, transcripts of all the interviews, whether it's with coach or with the media, the player scrum with the media, updates on all the injuries. So just continuing to keep this going and churning. I will be on vacation next week. So, as we put this together, we might miss a day or two, but we'll see.
What?
We'll see.
Who let you go on vacation, Dan? Come on.
I gotta take
did
the
you
kid
run this
back
by
to
the
play
boss?
football.
Brent, did he run this by you? Did you approve his vacation?
I signed up a replacement. The beard is going to be on here and placing me next week. We're committing him to it right now.
Oh my God, that's outstanding. I will say this, Dan, fantastic work. I teased it a little bit earlier as far as like, this is all you do. It obviously is not all you do, but the amount of work that you put into to these recaps is just outstanding. I read them, and folks, if you're watching this show, I know it's easier to kind of sit back and let us knuckleheads, talk about this stuff. But every Monday morning, early Monday morning, the stuff is put out there, and then the recaps from the press conferences and all those kinds of things. So Dan, outstanding work. Love to see that. We've got some chats on fire tonight. We appreciate it. We're going to be rolling into a lot of these training camp storylines. Marcus says Gibbs is asking for more than 3 years or something contractually strategic like that. More years equals more guaranteed money and a bigger signing bonus. I don't think it is about Gibbs demanding a trade. Yeah, I don't think we're talking about trade here. I think it's just a matter of maybe hours before we actually see this number. I think we're talking like between $2 and $3 million difference here. Maybe, I don't know. I'm speculating. We're not listening to what the agents are saying, but I think once Bijan kind of came in higher than I thought the first guy would come in at, to be honest. And so Gibbs is going to be higher. We'll be talking a little bit about that. Marcus talking about Devin White and Jack Campbell, both top 3 in tackles. And the unknown Lion fan, thanks for joining us. Love the avatar. Love the Dan Campbell wheelbarrow avatar. It was not known to the Lions because Manu didn't tell them. By the way, that kind of ticked off Dan Campbell a lot in his press. Yeah, you could tell. It just... You can kind of, we've watched him enough on that podium to know when he's a little bit pissed about what's going on. That definitely did not sit well. Marcus says Detroit's holding back some cash so that once we can poach practice squads, we can bring in what we need. Brad finds gems every year that way. AQM was a poached player. Interesting call there. So guys, let's roll into this. We've got plenty of time to talk about this. We don't have an ending segment tonight. No Mount Silver Rushmore, Hall of the Underrated. There's a lot, and Dan, you touched on it earlier. There's a lot to talk about. So here's what I want to do. We talked a little bit about the injury situation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're also going to talk about the Gibbs situation. But I do want to start with a little positivity because as Lions fans, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like we've been trained through the 90s and 2000s that when, injuries happen and things, when we see a groin for Derek Moore or something like that, or, oh my gosh, today Rodrigo was taken off of the field, Here's what same old Lions fans think. They turn into Chicken Little. They think the sky is falling every time somebody gets hurt. And for those who are just listening, I have a Lions fan that looks like Chicken Little and a little meme that we'll make and probably post on social media. But Rodrigo was back out later, kissing babies, signing autographs, and he had a little wrap on his ankle. So I think what we've got to do, and Brent, I want you to chime in on this. I mean, obviously the Ferkser broken leg, he's gone for the year. That's a bummer, but he was tight end 3, maybe 4, at this point. And so what would you say to a Lions fan who's watching here and sees Jimmy Rolder with a hamstring and has heard that Derek Moore might be out for a few weeks with a groin and all of these injuries that are happening in training camp? What would you say to a Detroit Lions fan today about all this?
Chill. I would say
that's almost like you almost went Aaron Rodgers with the RELAX there for a second.
Yeah,
it was like CHILL.
Exactly. Chill. Here's the reality of it. I don't think there's ever been a team in the history of the NFL that got through the season losing no one. So what the Lions have obviously done, because this has been reflected in a few different forums, is they have lowered the intensity as it relates to physicality. So now what you can expect is the Lions to focus more on fundamentals. Coach, the OC, talked about installing the base system and running our plays and getting our base system put in. And he's obviously going to make some adjustments, as Jared Goff and others have talked about, to that base system. So this is all about, at this point, trying to minimize collateral damage and keep as many players healthy as possible, while keeping an eye on, look, let's get to the regular season and be in as good a position as we can with health. There are teams getting ravaged right now, guys.
Yep.
The Carolina Panthers are just getting crushed. The Falcons are getting crushed. The Bears lost their starting stud safety that they signed. Oh, darn, Bears fans. Sorry that you lost your starting safety. Feel our pain, right?
Yeah,
And
hold our
so,
beers, right?
yeah, hold our
Yeah,
beer, right? Or pass the beer nuts,
we
as
told you.
many say. So the good news is we managed to avoid. We lost third, fourth string tight end, as you said, Chris. It's a real shame. But hey, I'm looking to the day when Branch comes back. I'm looking to the day to see what happens with Kirby, and let's just roll. Just keep
Yeah.
keep doing what they're doing. I love the attitude. There's a confidence in the Lions player interviews. Um, we did not like the result last year.
Yeah.
How many times have you guys heard that? We did
Oh,
not
yeah.
like 9-7 and not
Bad
making the
taste in the
playoffs.
mouth. You can see it. You can see it when they're talking.
Bad taste.
Yep.
Bad taste. So Lions fans that are, running for the hills, you can jump off the bus if you want to, jump off the bandwagon. But I'm here to say that this is going to be a really good football team this year. They're going to win a lot of games. The schedule helps, obviously, but it's still the NFL. On any given Sunday, the worst team in the NFL can beat the best team in the NFL. But I mean, they're in there working hard. And what is it, a week, Dan? From Thursday, they got their first preseason game, I think.
Yeah, yep. Down in Cincinnati, it was at Paycor, I think.
Yeah.
So
So, I'm just looking for steady. Let's see what the depth can do. And I'm on the fence, guys. The topic that we always talk about is how much do you play the starters in the preseason? How much are we gonna?
You know what I'm seeing, and Dan, I want to roll this to you. That's an excellent, Brent. I'm just gonna jump off the live stream. I'll let you ask the questions, man. No, I'm serious. Because that is a good question. I'd love to hear Dan's thoughts on that as we do approach the preseason, and I do want to get your thoughts on Branch and some of these injuries too, Dan. I'm seeing them do a lot of different things, right? They went 2 hours today. Yesterday, they were like 1 hour. You are seeing different things. Obviously, they're not having the joint practices like they have in years past. And so I don't know. Going into preseason, to Brent's point, Dan, are we going to – I'm not saying that we're going to start, Goff and Gibbs when he's back and Amon, every single game we're going to have all the starters out there for a half. But, years past, we see nobody. Like Goff is not even dressing any of the games, and if he is dressing, it's just to fake everybody out to see if his uniform fits. I don't know. But what are your thoughts, Dan, on what we might see in some of these preseason games? Are we going to see some starters or no?
I think we'll see a half of starters at some point.
Okay.
Maybe not all the starters.
Okay.
We'll see the guys that need to get out there. I suspect we'll see that offensive line in a half of football because that, and potentially the back seven, because those guys need that cohesion time. They need to be in a live action with the guys that they are going to be by in the regular season. Last year, when we played the Packers, we looked completely and utterly unprepared in that game. And, attribute it some to, Jeff Hafley just kicking our ass because he did twice. But also, I think that the Lions weren't prepared for that game. They didn't have that eye of the tiger look, and they didn't have that cohesion, with guys that were out and injured and coming back, and they just didn't play those guys. And these joint practices, they're what they are. They're still a controlled scrimmage, whatever,
Right.
Despite what they want to say. It's like they get too far downfield, they blow the whistle. This isn't guys hustling all out, They get angry, and frankly, I think the joint practices are actually a little more worrisome because you end up with some idiot who's like a third stringer on the other team trying to prove a point against your first stringer and maybe injures them,
Oh, yeah.
Whereas during the preseason, generally you keep ones on ones for the most part, right? Unless the other team doesn't play their guys. But these coaches do talk in the preseason and they do kind of set that up, So the Bengals, it's very conceivable. I don't think we'll see any starters against the Bengals, but come preseason game 3, because remember there is a full week off between the end of preseason it's almost like a week and a half,
Mm-hmm.
almost 2 full weeks till the first actual game.
Because we don't have
there's
a
a lot of
Thursday.
time there.
We don't have a Thursday game to start the year, right? We're Sunday Saints.
So we are Sunday at 1
Sunday,
with
Thursday.
frickin' Kenny Alberts and Jonathan Vilma.
Oh,
Lucky us.
yeah.
God, I hate that idiot. No offense,
Damn,
Jonathan Vilma, but you need to learn the names of the players that you're covering.
Somebody give him a sheet with the pronunciation of our players' names. What did he call?
He's worse than me.
He called
Aiden
Hutchinson. I forget what Henderson or
Huggy Bear, didn't he? No, I'm just kidding.
I forget. But yeah, guys, I think I want to let's get off the injury thing, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that thing. I love that as well. Brent, feel free to chime in at some point to talk about the preseason, but I kind of feel like we're going to see more starters, but that doesn't mean we're going to be seeing them every single game, maybe one, that type of thing. What we don't want is to have backup offensive linemen with Jared Goff taking snaps.
Right. And you won't see that.
Right. That would be.
They're too smart for that.
Yeah. But let's talk about what I think is probably the most positive news that I saw this week, which was Brian Branch out working out. Making aggressive cuts, change of direction drills, first time in this camp. And, from a rehab timeline standpoint, guys, we got to talk about how big of a jump that is, where we thought he was even like a week ago. I mean, multiple beat writers are saying, are now saying maybe late August, early September return looks feasible, given this Achilles, which is one of the most unforgiving injuries for especially for defensive backs. Brent, are we being way too optimistic here? Or, do we really feel like BB, given his, who knows what he went through in the offseason to get to where he's at, his age, all of those things, his want to, he's got plenty of that. Do we feel like maybe September is a possibility for Brian Branch?
Well, what we talked about last week was typically most NFL players return in between 9 and 12 months. It depends on the player. We talked about Adrian Peterson, but in BB's case, he's actually ahead of schedule. If you look at the timeline and recovery process for this type of an injury, by weeks, by months 5 to 8, you're strengthening. And then your months 9 to 12 are when you're high-speed running, cutting, jumping. And he was running the hill as well. I think there were reports of him on the hill. And so, we're looking at Branch being a little bit more on the short side than the long side because he had the injury in December. He will inevitably be out practicing probably, we could expect that sometime in the first couple of weeks of the season at the latest, the way that things are trending. Doesn't mean he'll be returning to games for, a few weeks, but the guy is, clearly on the right track to get back in the first quarter of the games. That'd be outstanding. So Brian Branch is a very, very good football player, and he will add a lot to the secondary. And, speaking of the secondary, and I know you didn't ask the question about the secondary in whole, but there are a lot of really positive discussions.
Yeah.
Let's
transition to that. I think and Marcus brings this up. It's a great segue, Brent. Marcus says, I'm interested to see who the starting QB 1 and 2 are, who starts at left tackle, which we could talk about. Whoever starts at left tackle, indicate who are Sewell's backup, but the biggest of all is who starts at left guard. So the secondary, Brent. So let's segue into that, because not just at the safety position. If Branch comes back, then we have the nice problem of saying, okay, what are we doing with Chuck Clark, Avante Maddox? Some of these guys that are getting the all of the reps at the one, and we'll probably see them right as our starting safeties. Oh man, old Ironsides is popping in camp, and he's no longer. You can't even call him Whom anymore. You can't call him Legion of Whom. Nick Whiteside is him, right? realistically, does he have a shot? Does Whitesides have a shot at maybe the fourth cornerback on this roster?
Well, Ennis Rakestraw. Let me kind of go down the list here
Sure.
of the players that I think have been highlighted this week. I saw a report from Yahoo that talked about Ennis Rakestraw going up against JMO, and the first play, JMO caught the ball and Rakestraw punched the ball out. Excellent, right? Well, the next play, JMO puts a move on him and Rakestraw falls down. so there's going to be some learning in there for Rakestraw. As you guys know, we've talked a lot about Christian Izzian and his value coming over with his experience. McCreary, Abney's been burned a few times, but he continues to perform well at the cornerback position. But Izzian is getting a lot of positive accolades. I was reading something earlier today that says that that he's after coming off the flu, he's really getting noticed out there, and he wowed the crowd, putting on some nice plays, and he also got torched by Greg Dortch. So in these days of practice, these guys know each other. So I wouldn't read much in the way said chill earlier. You're going to see a lot of good plays followed by a bad play, followed by a good play, because I remember playing football in high school, and one play you eat the bear and the next play the bear eats you. And the fact of the matter is these are top athletes, professionals. And so what you're going to expect to see is a lot of good and bad reporting on all these guys. DJ Reed even had some, got torched a few times. So
sure.
Again, I would just say the boys are working, they're working hard, and the cornerback positions. I still am of the opinion, and I know you guys all rolled your eyes when I said this a few weeks ago, but I still could see some surprises at the starting cornerback position on the outside. I would say that at this point, Rock Yassin, DJ Reed are the starters, and then others that are McCreary is the guy that I still think is going to end up getting a lot of playing time on the outside with his experience.
Yep.
And so please don't laugh at me too hard when I say that, guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if that little prediction happens.
Dan, what you have a theory here on what's going on in the secondary?
I do. So I think the Lions are going to overload in the secondary this year. And I think it's going to come at the expense of Luke Altmaier. And I think it's also the reason why we've been seeing so much cross-training going on the offensive line. So if you have Larry Borum, Miles Frazier, and Juice Scruggs as your three primary backups, that's two tackles, a center, and another guard, two guards, right? Those guys can play multiple positions. Borum is also the sixth lineman out there. He's a swing tackle. Frazier's been playing every position on the line except center. Scruggs has played backup center as well as both guards. So to me, I think the Lions, and keep in mind, we also, the new kickoff rule that went in last year becomes you need more guys on special teams that are more linebacker, safety, cornerback style guys that can get there quickly in a short amount of space, right? So I suspect that we just have, some people may disagree. I think we have a plethora of riches in our defensive backfield right now. And if Branch comes back early, that creates even a bigger problem. Who are you going to cut out of all those safeties? And yes, we know that the two, Jackson's on the chopping block. We know the other kid, what's his name there? Can't remember his name.
What position?
The safety, Lawrence Strickland.
We
know those two guys are going to be the guys that are probably going to get let go. You've got the rookie Amaris Brown and Rucker out there, the UDFAs. So, that leaves you with, Branch, Izine, Clark, Maddox, Harper, Kirby, wherever he ends up.
I
That's
don't know
six
why I
guys
wasn't
right
thinking
there.
about Harper. I mean, we are not even
Yeah.
talking about Harper, but Thomas Harper can
Yeah.
play, and he's proven he can play. So yeah, it's a bit of a logjam in the secondary, and this
I
is a
think
nice
the
problems.
Lions are going to keep 13. They're going to keep 13 DBs. That's
Wow.
my projection, assuming everybody's healthy. That's McCreary and Abney, Rakestraw, Yassine, Dorsey, Reed, Harper, Maddox, Clark, Azine, and Branch, and then wherever Kirby goes, if he's on the roster or if
Wow.
they need more time. Either way, that's 12 or 13 guys.
So
right off the bat. I think they're going to keep all
Whiteside.
those guys.
No Whiteside with all the hype.
Whiteside, and Whiteside.
And Whiteside.
Yeah, I said.
Okay.
Did I not say him?
No.
He's part of my 13.
Okay.
So we'll probably end up with 12 if it sounds like Joseph is getting prepared. I do suspect he's going to be on the roster to start the year. I don't think they're going to put him on the reserve pup. So
did you hear that, all you people that snagged? We got clapped. We got clapped last week for our Kirby conversation. People, they're pulling some things out of context. This is what happens when you put clips out there about players. They think
it is what it is. I mean,
yeah.
Kirby's fine. We'll see where he ends up. He'll be where he ends up, where he's available to play at, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I think you're going to see extra DB kept because there's too many good ones out there. There's only 4 guys I could say for sure. Yeah, these guys, they would release them and then get them on the practice squad potentially. And I think it becomes because you're cross-training on the O-line, because you're cross-training at linebacker, because you're cross-training at safety, nickel, that just seems to be where this team is going. That has been the vision. Get guys that can do multiple things and do them well, not just a guy that you can plug in there and be like, yeah, he's just a body, In years past, your special teams linebackers would be a very poor option to put on the field if you absolutely had to play them. Not anymore. The last few years, these guys have been, at least in short stints, they've been more than serviceable, with White and Rodriguez, right? And Nowaski and even Damone Clark, I think those guys, they give you that option to bring in a guy that's going to play linebacker, hopefully at a competent level. Bocce seems like he's shown some signs lately too. So we'll see. But yeah, that's my theory. Is I think all this cross training leads them to keep better players because you want the best 53 kids on the roster. You don't want to give a guy up if you don't have to.
I agree. Brent, any response to that on that theory? I mean, that's yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, the depth is fantastic, right? The competition, and I listen to a lot of different shows where they're talking about, there's the guy, and the ability to shut down a half of the field conversations, and I don't think that's the current NFL. You remember back in the days when quarterbacks would pass for 2,500 yards and that was great. Now the NFL is almost surgical. And when a receiver runs a route, the quarterback can put the ball in a place that quarterbacks back in the day couldn't do. And so, quarterbacks have to stand up to that kind of pressure regardless of where you are on the field. The days of having a shutdown corner and it shuts down half of the field. I mean, look, the best cornerback in the NFL, reportedly on the Jets, he gets thrown at a lot because you're running crossing routes. Yeah, thank you, Dan.
With the Colts now.
Yeah. He moved over to the Colts, but you just don't play the game like it used to be played, and with the precision of the cornerbacks and the route trees that the receivers are able to run, and it's just a different game. So what you need a lot of different players that can make plays and react and play as a unit and move like an amoeba, and flow. And so I couldn't be happier with the competition and the depth. And when you look at the rankings, right, we talked about this multiple times where the rankings of these guys, and as it relates to NFL, just at safety, we've got the 8th rated, 16th rated, 13th rated, 11th rated safeties in the NFL. And you know what's interesting is that our highest paid safety today is not even on that list of those rankings because he had such a bad year with his bum knee.
Yep.
And so you're talking about depth and competition. Avonte Maddox, whose name comes up all the time from Dan Campbell and others. Chuck Clark is Avonte Maddox is the 8th rated safety in the NFL for PFF. Chuck Clark, 16th.
Yep.
Thomas Harper, 11th.
Yeah.
So
these guys can play. These are not just
Yeah. But I mean, just the point was, and sorry for rambling there a little bit.
No, you're good.
The point is that these guys can play.
Sure.
It's not like we're rolling a bunch of scabs out there.
100%.
And so I just, a lot of the shows that you listen to, they'll talk about how we don't have this or that, but I'm happy with what we have to. Especially at safety.
People think they're playing fantasy football or Madden or something. Like, why don't we have 8 of the top 10 players at a particular position? Well, there's a thing called salary cap and other things like that. Guys, there's a few things here in the chat we'll touch on. We're going to roll into Gibbs here just as expectations here. Karen, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're happy you caught us live here tonight as well, Karen. Thanks for joining us. And here's a name Karen brought up, and this is one, if we ever got to the, surprise of camp, and, I haven't heard this guy's name, but Karen, I'm super glad you brought up Damone Clark. This was a name that popped today. Karen says, I was happy to hear today about Damone Clark flying around the field today. I heard when we signed him that Micah Parsons said Clark was the fastest teammate he ever had. This is, Damone Clark's a guy that we haven't even mentioned his name on this show, I don't think ever. But from a depth perspective, seeing him pop, hearing, Whiteside pop only makes this thing. I mean, that's what camp is for. But we are seeing some other people that we're hearing aren't popping as much as we thought. Isaac Tesla, we're not hearing great things about what's happening there. I'm not worried about it. But I am happy that some of these guys, like Damone Clark, are showing up. But Marcus also says Kirby will be back at practice with Branch around week 5 to 7. They'll both have on-field reps by week 12. But if someone is already playing well at safety, that could delay how soon they are back. That sounds like a nice problem to have, and that certainly seems realistic, guys. Today. Or yesterday, I guess it was. Was it yesterday that the Bijan news hit? This morning hit?
This morning.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about this. Because we knew that one of these guys, we were hoping Jahmyr would get signed first, not just because we wanted him on the field, maybe more quickly, but that would mean we pay less money. Jahmyr has just basically whispered and told reporters, hey, time will tell. Bijan, is signed a 3-year, $66.75 million extension. 51 of that is guaranteed, up to $75 million with incentives. We don't know what those incentives are, but I'm sure it's all kinds of stats and Pro Bowls and
workouts,
all
reporting on
pros,
time,
all that good stuff that we don't know with Atlanta. And then Campbell, when he was asked about it this morning in the presser, said, "Yeah, it certainly is not going to hurt." In other words, this is, he's not going to say that, "Oh yeah, Jahmyr's going to get signed, right away," but he's going to say it's not going to hurt. So, a couple things, and we'll roll it to you guys to get your thoughts. I think a lot of people are comparing these two a lot, maybe just by looking at their numbers. I mean, obviously, Bijan gets more touches, or has gotten historically more touches, let's say, in Atlanta. But Gibbs is getting more yards per carry, more of an explosive player. But Bijan's more built, I think, for more carries. He's a bigger guy, certainly more of a, Gibbs can, certainly catch passes, but Bijan's got more of a pass catching, I think, ability as well. So guys, let's talk a little bit about what this means for the Lions. Dan, let's start with you on this one. From a contract perspective, what are we looking at? I'm going to pull up some of the contract breakdown info here for Bijan's contract. So for those of you who are watching, you kind of kind of see some of the stuff I've sort of mentioned already. But what does this mean for the Detroit Lions? For a casual fan who maybe not know as many, contract stipulations and, capology and all those kinds of things that, Dan, you do know about this, what can we expect a Jahmyr Gibbs contract, what it would look like, and how that would affect maybe the future contracts of somebody like Sam Laporta and Brian Branch?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two things that matter to players and agents, one for each. For agents, it's getting the best APY.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they hang their hats on.
APY stands for
average per year.
Got it.
So going into this year, Saquon Barkley was a little over 20 million average per year. He led the NFL. The running back position has been devalued substantially over the last 10 years because of shorter shelf life, moving to more of a dedicated a platoon of backs who had specialties, and less of the Eddie Georges, less of the Jerome Bettises, these big workhorses, Marshall Faulks, and more to specialty backs. Well, we are seeing a switch back to more of a workhorse style back again, and these guys are starting to get paid again with that. So, as I mentioned, there's two dollars that matter. APY for the agents, because that's what they hang their hat on that and say, yep, I've got the highest contract in the league for running back.
Yep.
And currently, Nicole Lynn of Clutch Sports can have that for the next 12 to 24 hours. And then our old buddy Todd France, who is with Athletes First and represents Jahmyr Gibbs, is likely going to top that by not very much. Come in, he's 22.25. Jahmyr will probably come in at 22.50. Maybe 22.35. It'll be higher than what Bijan did. And frankly, I said this last week, neither one of those guys really wanted to go first, because the second guy is going to reset the market, not by much, but he's going to go over it. Because essentially these guys are, they're different size physically, maybe different styles, but they're very much more, very similar productivity wise. Gibbs, like you said, more of a receiver threat probably than Robinson, but Robinson is just fast, and they're not that much different in size. There's about 10 pounds and maybe like an inch, right? But Gibbs has a lot more touchdowns. I think he's a little more he's got a little more wiggle in the middle than maybe Robinson does, right? He can slither through holes. Unlike, Montgomery, he was pure power. He just hammered it up in there, right? Well, Gibbs seemed to be, with his patience, a lot of times he's a little Barry-esque, not Barry, but he was able to find holes and not necessarily get thrown for a massive loss. Barry got thrown for lots of losses, but they pop off for 80, right? Gibbs can go for 80 every single time, and he doesn't take a lot of losses. The only time he does is if there's a blown assignment. He's very good vision for his size, so and what he's produced. But for the players, the guaranteed money is the important one. They don't give a crap about anything else other than what's my guarantee. And then, the rest of the structure just goes in that whatever works best for the team and for the player. If the ask is to make sure I'm on the roster for the next 4 years, then they'll make sure that it's structured such that the first time the team has an out, if the production declines, will be after year 4, right? I mean, it's all semantics. It's all, honestly inconsequential. What do I get guaranteed? And then the agent wants to have the top APY. That's it. So it will look very similar to this. It just depends. Is it a 3-year extension or a 4-year extension? They're both, they got drafted, four picks apart, something like that in the 2023 draft. They both qualified for the highest level of 5th-year option. So, I don't think it's a big deal. There's really not a whole lot to negotiate here unless he's trying to play hardball and extract more money. Just doesn't seem like the thing for Gibbs and his personality. And Todd France is not known to be, the Scott Boras, by the way, idiot, Scott Boras style agent. That's my hot take. I don't like that guy. I've never liked that guy.
Really?
I thought we were no hot take.
If you're great and he's your agent, you love the guy. I think he's bad for baseball. So he probably just brought down the entire Major League Baseball in the year. But anyway, I digress. France is a good agent, and I don't think he's going to hold him out or advise him to hold out. They should have this done pretty quickly.
Well, where do I start?
At the beginning.
Pick up the pieces from that disaster.
Yeah, baseball's got bigger problems than one agent, like the lack of a salary cap
Facts.
and the Dodgers taking
that guy's the guy that's exploiting all those holes.
The holes are created by baseball. But anyway.
Oh, I know. It's bad.
So the conversation, who's better, Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, guys, we're talking about two diamonds. I mean, absolute studs. Bijan is a powerful back, as Dan said, and Gibbs is like a cheetah. I mean, when Gibbs takes off, he's got the big play ability to take it to the house on any play. Bijan can, but that's, he's going to be a little bit bigger, and he's carried the ball more time in terms of who's better. But in terms of the salary, Dan's right on. The next guy up is going to get $10 more. Not very much. I like how Dan teed that up and said not very much, and so it'll get done quickly, I think. But if you guys remember back when Barry Sanders was a rookie, he held out until the first game almost.
Oh yeah.
And he trots out onto the field and has a touchdown run, and so I'm not
85 yards or something like that.
I thought it was like a shorter one, but the bottom line is that Gibbs could show up the day before the first game, and I still think
I'm not worried about what shape he's in, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the dude was working out with MMA trainers in the off season, and there was talk. Campbell said something like he's got a little back issue or something like that. I mean, I don't
let him get better.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the contract. This is, again, these are things that fans, Lions fans get really enraged about or upset about. I saw Stephen A. Stephen A. was on ESPN.
We're talking about all of Dan's favorites tonight.
Yeah, but he was going off on the Lions. What are you doing? The Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs needs to be signed right now. And I'm like, what? Chill.
He's got to be signed by 8:30 a.m. tomorrow when practice starts. That's it.
Chill. Yeah, but again, I'm not even worried. Listen, the guy's not going to be allowed to be touched. The rule with Barry was don't touch him. To Jahmyr Gibbs, they should have a similar rule. Don't touch him. Don't bang him around. Don't knock him to the ground. And so, let's let the depth, because we are worried about the backup running back position. There's been a lot of folks talking about backup running back situation. We lost Monty, who was very reliable, 1A, 1B. Right. I still think Pacheco has something in the gas tank, but it all goes back to the offensive line. And earlier in the chat, I think Marcus brought up, or somebody brought up who's going to start at left guard. And Dan Campbell, there's an article today in the news. Dan Campbell knows the season is going to be a great success, or it's going to be another rough season if you cannot get that offensive line right. We saw the defensive tackle that we drafted last year, number 1, pushing Cade Mays back into the quarterback's lap on video, and what we've got to do, and we know Cade Mays is not a really good run blocking center. He's in the bottom 5 in the NFL, or bottom maybe 4 in the NFL in terms of his run rating efficiencies. He's an excellent pass blocker. So that was an anomaly. Just knowing that one play somebody's going to get the advantage over somebody. So in terms of that offensive line, our season will go as the offensive line goes, gentlemen.
That's true.
And so, Gibbs can sit and let them sort it out and start to develop some continuity and open holes so that Gibbs can run 80 yards to the house, 65 yards to the house. That's what I'm more interested in, is that offensive line, and I agree with Marcus.
Yeah, a couple of great comments that we've got here. Karen, Comment of the night so far. Gibbs back is the Anzalone hamstring of the 2026 season.
Yes, it is.
If you guys remember the Anzalone's hamstring, his hamstring, right?
What do you get? 60 grand out of that?
It's a very expensive hamstring.
I thought it was like 500K. I thought it was like 500K, but yeah,
might have been. I don't know.
But Karen's got another question that I don't know if it's this simple. I mean, I think we can talk about it. I think this simple answer might be maybe a little, but it is: do you think we'll be running Gibbs to the left now that Panay's over there? I don't have the stats of how much we ran to the right last year, but I think it kind of plays into what you're saying, Brent, and Dan. You could pick up the pieces of the stuff I'm about to talk about here. But I think it's more than just who's playing the end of the line and whether it's right or left tackle. I think it's the cohesion of the line itself, right? And I do think, like Blake Miller, for all intents and purposes, like not exactly having the great camp not showing in with the ones all of the time, getting beat at times. Cade Mays getting beat at times, but he's going against Aleem McNeil, who's having an outstanding camp and just plowing anybody in front of him. Doesn't matter who you are. And so, but Blake Miller, we're not hearing great things about Blake. But we know he's a capable run blocker. And so, I don't know if it's as easy as saying, hey, we're going to run more to the left because Panay's over there. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I disagree on your assertion that Blake Miller, we're not hearing great things about him. Yes, we're hearing some where he's getting beat, right?
Sure.
He's a rookie, right? And he's going against Hutchinson, Wanham, McNeil, he's going against veterans. He's learning every day from what I'm hearing and what I'm reading and seeing online. I don't care what's happening right now. I care what's happening in 3-4 weeks from now when he's, had a full camp underneath his belt, right? And he keeps going against some of the best in the NFL. So I think he'll be fine. What I've heard, though, is that he's just super smart, heady, learns quick, learns from his mistakes. So I think that one is fine. In answer to Karen's question, I think it was Karen, right? Look, I think Christian Mahogany is going to be this left guard, and everybody can say what they want to say, but Mahogany and Drew Petzing are freaking match made in heaven. He is a mauling run blocker at left guard. He might be our best run blocker after Penei Sewell, right? And as long as he is healthy, because last year he was not healthy at all, and his numbers showed it. And when he was semi-healthy, he had a one-arm man to his left, and he had a SH asterisk T show to his right at center, right? I mean, what do you expect the guy to do? You could do your job, but if the guys around you are struggling and you got to help cover or whatever, it doesn't work. So that's a big difference with this offensive line. Right now they're healthy. Penei is the best run blocker. Likely the second best run blocker is either Ratledge or most likely it's Mahogany. He is, from all accounts I've been reading, since he came off that NFI, he has just been tearing it up. He's been playing well. He's pancaking dudes. He's pissed and he's playing like it, right? So Mays is getting better daily. Yep, he lost some to McNeil. He's won some from McNeil and Williams. I mean, this line is going to be going up day in and day out against one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, despite when any of the naysayers in the national media that have already written the Lions off, for one injury-plagued season, the disrespect is real. You just see it everywhere. They're getting knocked down all over the place.
Good.
It's like,
that's where we want to be. Disrespect.
You can't have that. Exactly. And the edge at the far side's always been a problem. It sounds like Wanham is doing well right now. Hopefully Moore comes back. He was really sounding good the first couple of days of
We're
camp.
hearing a lot more about Tyler Lacy than we are DJ Wanham.
Yeah, and Tyler Lacy. So here's the thing about a couple guys. I'm going to bring them up, and they're separate dudes. Jacob Sailors, Tyler Lacy. Yep. Neither one of these guys were with us in the offseason last year. They both were kind of late additions, right? And this is the first year they've both gone all the way through camp with us. And by all accounts, these guys are both absolutely just popping day in and day out, like Nick Whiteside style popping in the reports. Lacy's playing that big end. He's kicking down inside when they go to more of a nickel look and, getting Wanham next to him out there, so they've got those four guys that could just get after it in there with Aleem and Hutch. And Sailor sounds like he's the one that's been stepping up along with Pacheco, who, by the way, all accounts say the guy is just much more explosive looking than he was last year. He is realized last year, number one, he was fighting an uphill battle. The tackles for Kansas City were awful. I mean, they were in the bottom 4 out of like 40 some tackles. They both were in the bottom 4. So, he's looking good. Sailors is looking good. I'm not too concerned about the depth at running back at this point. We get Gibbs back. That should give us 3 deep. Vaki seems to be coming along. He's a special teams demon too. He's just a jack of all trades, right? So pretty comfortable there.
Injured all the time.
I mean, getting poked in the face with a broken nose.
No. It's just one thing after another with him.
Funny thing is, he's actually played he's only missed 5 games in 2 years. Yeah. So I know he seems like he's always injured, but he's actually played quite a bit. But to your point, back to the D line, I think they're making this offensive line better. And to answer the question, because I've just totally gone around it, you have Mahogany and Sewell, probably the 2 best run blockers. That's going to be where we're going to go most likely. And you pair them with a tight end, or you put tight end on the other side, wherever you want to go. I think that's going to be our number one. Wherever Penny's at, that's where we're going, number one. But having Mahogany, who will be going into a 3rd-year veteran, versus a rookie and a 2nd-year player and a new guy on the right, I think the left, at least initially, that's where they go until they're fully trustworthy of the guys on the right.
Yeah, and I think,
Yep. So Chris, pop up the graphic if you would, real quick, because I know
the graphic.
We're running out of time.
Can you get a little more specific? What are we talking about?
I was surprised. The Gibbs rushing attempts broke down approximately as follows. Which direction? I was really surprised to see this because we know Decker was a solid player, and it shouldn't surprise us that Gibbs ran left much more than he ran right. 10% more of his runs were to the left versus the right. 97% was a center. If you remember last year, we did the old Ferrari with the dump truck hitting it. One of my big issues was running Gibbs up the middle into 330-pound defensive tackles. And so what I think we're going to see the Lions are going to want to have balance. They're going to want to, and Blake's getting some really positive attention as well at right tackle. They're talking about how much he's learned every day and all. But I would not be surprised at all that Gibbs's statistics are going to be a little more balanced this year, where he'll run left and right. And, if he's going to run towards Panay and Mahogany, or he's going to run towards Miller and Rags, then I think we're in good shape.
But
there.
It just makes, only 25% of his carries last year were to the right. That's where Panay Sewell and Tate Ratledge were. So that's not running behind Panay. That's running behind.
Is this right, where I was dispelling
the comment because folks were saying that they're intimating that Panay was running. That they're going to run behind Panay. I think the question Karen had kind of stirred this up. But my point is that contrary to what folks think, the Lions didn't run towards Panay's side with Gibbs last year for whatever reason.
Right.
I don't know what that reason might be.
A lot of times you saw on these long runs, Panay out in front of him, whether he was going left or right, because he's pulling, right? He's
pulling.
He's the guy that's out there. So I think you may, whether he's running right or left, 58's going to be out in front because he is that athletic big dude that's, plowing 3 or 4 guys while Gibbs dances into the end zone and then does the Spider-Man in pose with Amon-Ra in the end zone. So,
and that's why you'd run away from. That's a great point, Chris. That's why you'd run away from Panay because he is mobile enough to get out and run. And so I do think he was too low on the top 100 NFL player list, by the way.
Yeah,
37th. Are you kidding me?
I think he's way higher than that.
He should be in the top 20 at a bare minimum, probably top 15.
Well, guys, this is like we could talk about this stuff for 3 hours, and Marcus and Wanda and Karen and all of our DC's in the house tonight. We saw some great comments from DC and everybody. We could do this for 3-4 hours. You guys are fans. You'd be here with us. But unfortunately, we do have to end the show tonight. But before you go, if you're still hanging out, go down here and do us a favor and click that subscribe button. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. And so put us over the edge. We'd appreciate it. And then, of course, like and share with a friend as well. We appreciate it. If you're listening on your audio podcast players, go ahead and follow us there. Leave us a review, a nice one, hopefully. If you've listened this far, I'm sure it would be. But, we'll take whatever you got. But Dan, Brent, this has been another fantastic show. Love hanging with you guys every Tuesday night, talking Lions. Dan won't be here next week, but that doesn't mean that we won't be here for you. So tune in next week, 7 p.m. Eastern on all the tubes. We appreciate it. And before we go, we always leave you with a hearty Go Lions!
Busted outside left. Jahmyr down to 10. Jahmyr to the 5. Jahmyr to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
And off Berry. Skirts to the left side. Breaks the tackle. And he will take it in. Touchdown!